Hey guys, it's Joe the Android guy. In the past I've shown you an awful lot of custom ROMs. ROMs that aren't distributed by the big name brand manufacturers, HTC, Samsung, and the like. Well, my favorite one has been CyanogenMod. Today I want to show you AOKP, and it's full of pink unicorns. Let's go take a look. So this is my Samsung Galaxy Nexus, the GSM variety. We'll go ahead and turn it on here, and you'll notice, first of all, I wasn't kidding about pink unicorns. It does have a rainbow mane. I don't know if that's a redeeming quality or not, but there you have it. It's a traditional, typical lock screen with a few cool additions. First of all, we do have the date and time. We have the battery in percentage, which is cool, and then we've got the weather up here, where it says where I'm located, what the temperature is, and what the weather's like. Right now, Syracuse, 48 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is fair. This can also show you your calendar events upcoming right down in here as well. I haven't wired up a calendar to show that to you, but it's got that capability. Now, down here in the bottom, you'll notice we've also got our little circle unlock. We can automatically launch the camera app or unlock the phone right there. So we'll go ahead and unlock. Didn't do that quite fast enough. Go ahead and unlock that. And over here, let's take a look. That was a bug report from a previous take, by the way. This is still kind of buggy, and before we get too deep into it, this is the AOKP, the Android Open Kang project. You can look up Kang. There are lots of definitions. Basically, it's making something work on something that it wasn't really designed to do. For example, a CyanogenMod ROM might be able to be kanged into a T-Mobile G1. I doubt it, but that would be an example of what a Kang is. So that's what these guys are doing. They're kanging this ROM, and this ROM is based on the AOSP. So let's take a look first of all up here at the top. We've got a battery percentage, which is really kind of cool, 79%. Down here you can see my transition, really kind of cool. But before we go into that, let's take a look down here. Now, down on the bottom you'll notice, whoa, what is that? That's a phone icon, and that's a search icon down here in my navigation bar. How on earth can that be? Well, it's really kind of cool, and I can customize these. I can make them whatever I want. I mean, even apps, and I can add stuff, remove stuff. I can have 3, I can have 1, I can have 5. Really, really cool. I can long press on search and get my Speak Now stuff that I haven't had before because, you know, that search button has been gone. So now my voice actions are a lot easier to get to, and I don't have my persistent search bar across the top. So really kind of cool there. So we actually have two things working together. We have Nova Launcher, and this is the Nova Launcher that comes with the ROM. It's actually been updated through a market update since then. And then we've got the actual AOKP custom ROM itself. You do have to be rooted to install this. It installs just like any other ROM. You know, you've got ROM Manager you can install that from. You've got your custom recovery, in this case Clockwork Mod, that I flashed it from. You do need to wipe any custom ROM that you have, so you're starting fresh with this one and not getting things confused. So we've got the two things interacting. Nova Launcher, there is a paid version you can get that has extra features. I'm not showing you that. I'll show you where those paid features are. And then of course the AOKP itself. So we were talking about these custom navigation bar settings. Let's go ahead and take a look at that, but while we're doing that, we're going to pass some things along the way that I'd like you to take a look at. So first, let's pull down our tray here, and you'll notice right away we've got a really cool power control, essentially. We can turn Wi-Fi on or off, GPS on or off, all kinds of cool stuff. We can set the brightness of the screen right there, very quick and easy. Really, really cool. I like it a lot. We'll set that back to auto, and it slowly ramps that brightness back up. So really kind of cool there. But I can make all these changes. One thing I don't like, when I tap on settings, it just hides that. It doesn't take me to the settings, and I don't know if you noticed or not, but not all of the settings are listed there. Now, there's a lot of cool toggles, but not all the settings are. So I'd like that to be the default settings app, if you will, the control panel. It's not. We have to live with it. Fair enough. Fast charge. We've talked about fast charge in a couple other articles. I think we did a video on it. Essentially, fast charge is a way to push more milliamps into the phone so it charges faster. Now, this is a Samsung. I don't know of any other devices that do it, but Samsung devices in particular seem to like charging when pins 2 and 3 on the USB, your USB down there. On the charger itself, when pins 2 and 3 are bridged or shorted, it'll tell the phone, hey, charge faster. Well, if you've got a Samsung charger, it works great. If you've got a generic charger or you're charging over USB, which is how I charge, it doesn't charge faster. It charges, just not super fast. So using that setting right there, it essentially tells the OS at the kernel level to just ignore the fact that those pins aren't jumped, and you can enable fast charging. Of course, if you don't want to, you can toggle that off. It comes off by default. So that's some cool stuff. Let's go into more settings. This is settings for the ROM itself. Looks like your typical settings dialog box. We're going to go ahead and come down here. I'll actually back up to the top a little bit. You'll notice under quick links we have Rom Control. So let's open up Rom Control, and in here it's got some information about the AOKP, people that you can donate to if you like it and want to contribute to the work. And let me just say, this started out as well, this was the first custom ROM that I ran on my Galaxy Nexus because they didn't have nightlies of Ice Cream Sandwich for CyanogenMod when I started getting in and hacking around with this phone. So I went to the AOKP, I used it, you know, and I couldn't get past the pink unicorns. Sorry about that, but I couldn't. Since then, they've made a lot of progress. This is build 31, so make sure that you're getting that. I'll put a link to that over in the article at Pocketnow.com. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at some of the options that you can set here. There's a lot of them, so we're going to go really fast. General UI. This is where we can disable the boot animation. Yes, it is a pink unicorn. You can disable that right there. Disable bug mailer. I don't know what that is. I think that's if you run into a bug, it will email them, like I kind of showed you a little bit earlier. I think that's where you could turn that off if you wanted to. Allow 180-degree rotation. Lets you rotate your phone 180 degrees, even upside down. Really awesome. In fact, I like that quite a bit. Sometimes you just need to have it in a different position, like at my desk at work. I have the headphones and the USB charging coming out of here, and it's rotated. You can see just like that. So I can now see the screen, and I've got better access to my ports. So really kind of cool there. Horizontal recents window. This is not on by default. Basically, it lets you have a WebOS style task switcher. So we can look at that and see, okay, this is what it looks like here versus the up and down. You might like it, you might not. Personal preference. You can turn that off if you want to. LCD density, I haven't played with that. The current density is 320. If you want to set that higher or lower, you can do that. That makes stuff bigger and smaller from what I understand. The off animation CRT style, you know, where you turn off an old style TV and it pinches and you've got that bright white line just like that. That's what that does. That's how you can turn that on and off. The input method editor switcher, if you've got a keyboard open, you might want to switch to a different keyboard. This is particularly helpful when you want to switch between, say, swipe and the standard Android keyboard. You can do that. Enable volume options. I haven't played with that. I assume it's options that have to do with volume. Yes, that's stating the obvious for a little bit of humor there. Custom carrier label. I've never seen this in action. Tell you the truth, I don't know where you see it, but I have set it to AOKP. They are quick to warn you that once you set that, it's set. The only way you can get rid of it is to wipe the phone and start over with a fresh install of the ROM. I don't know where it is. I thought that it would be up here somewhere, but oh, you know what? There it is. AOKP. It also appears on the lock screen. That's where that came from too. So learning stuff even while shooting the video. How about that? Hold back to kill. Okay, that sounds devious, but it's not. What that means is if you're in an app, you can press and hold the back button and it will end that task and take you to the previous screen. Really kind of convenient. I find myself accidentally toggling that, so I have that set to off. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next section, and that is the navigation bar. That's probably why you're watching this video, because holy crap, this is awesome. So let's go into the nav bar. We can set the menu location to right, left, both, remove whatever. Kind of cool there. I think what that lets you do is, you know, when I rotate my phone, I like having my menu down here versus over here and vice versa. Some people might like it on the other side, and there are times when I felt that it was on the wrong side when it rotated. So I think that might do that. I'm not entirely sure. It's probably the 3 dots though. Haven't played with it. Find out, let us know in the comments. There's your homework. Menu visibility. How and when do you want the menu buttons to appear? Right there. Very simple. You can have it always show, and that didn't always show, so who knows? We'll set it back to default. Navigation bar color. You can set the color to whatever you want. We're not going to mess around with that too much right now. The navigation bar, oops, jumped ahead. Quantity. I've set it to 5. It defaults to 3. That's these buttons down here. I've got it to 5 so we can do other cool stuff, and I'll show you that. So let's say I don't want this to be a phone anymore. Here's a tip for you. It took me a little while to figure this out. If I tap over here on the icon, it will let me change the icon based on a picture that I have in my gallery. If I have an icon folder, that's great. I don't, so it's not going to show you anything that's worthwhile. But it does let you do crops and whatnot if you have an image that you want to use, and you can crop out the section that you want and don't want. In the meantime, it uses the default icon for the app. If you tap over on the left side, you can pick what the action is rather than what the icon is. We're going to choose a custom app. Let's say we want to get something else. Let's do all applications. And instead of phone, we want to do people. So just like that, now it's people. And when I tap on that, it launches my people app. So very, very cool. I can even set something to long press. So let's say I want to long press this and have it be a dialer. So I can go ahead and come in here to phone. Now when I long press, it launches my dialer. Very, very cool. So I can do the same thing for all of those other buttons down there, including setting up search, which is just right there in one of the default actions. Really cool. I like it a lot. You can set a blank if you want to have some spacing, space it out a little bit better for you. You can set the glow animation. When you tap on it, you've got that glow. Well, it turns out the faster you set that, the faster your phone is. So, or at least when you're interacting with that area, I should say. So I've got this set to super quick. You can even set it to off. Quick and normal. Normal, of course, is the slowest, and it gets faster and faster from there, all the way up. You can set the transparency of those buttons. You can see that all the way. They're gone to all the way super bright. I like mine somewhere in the middle, and they're just kind of transparent. Really kind of cool. What happens when you long press on home? Well, I've got mine wired up to go to my recent list. Really cool there. I can set the width and the height. I haven't done that. I've just set it to 42 dp, whatever dps are, as the default. No jokes about that, guys, okay? And if you get stuff all screwed up, you can reset the nav bar right there. So we're falling behind on our timeline. Let's look at the next one. Lock screen, really fast. We can choose the wallpaper picker just like you're used to. You can change the style, which stock, quad, octo, AOSP, honeycomb. It's set at honeycomb right now. You can play around with all of these. It's just preference. What does it look like? Menu unlock. So if you've got a menu icon, that can unlock the screen for you. A lot more helpful if you've got physical buttons rather than these guys. We'll go ahead and turn that off because I don't have that. That change does require a reboot. The wait to lock screen. This is very, very handy. I like this quite a bit. When I turn the phone off or when it goes to sleep, I can set a specific amount of time to wait before, when turning the screen back on, the lock screen appears. I don't like it when it's immediate because oftentimes I turn it off and I forgot something. I have to turn it right back on, then I have to unlock. It's a pain in the neck. So I can set a timeout here and say, don't show me the lock screen for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, whatever it is. Just know that I'm turning it right back on and it's still me. Fair enough. Really, really cool feature. I love it. I like it quite a bit. Standard Android has that when the screen times out, but they don't have it when you turn it off by hitting the power button. This lets you do both, and you can do that with CyanogenMod as well. Lock screen battery percentage shows you the battery percentage on the lock screen. Great, it's awesome. It shows you up here in the status bar too, but it's nice to have that on the lock screen. Lock screen weather, if you've enabled the Rom Control's weather service, you can use that. It does have to go out and get your location. It is network-based location, not GPS, so it takes less power than turning your GPS chip on and off. And then, of course, it has to get the weather information for that and put it on your home screen or your lock screen. So it does take a little bit of overhead. For me, it's worth it. Volume wake, you can use the volume keys to turn the phone on. I particularly don't like that, and here's why. Because I can have volume music controls. When I'm listening to music, whether that's Pandora, whether that's Google Music or some other player, when I have my screen off, it'll time off after a time, or time out after a time, and then I can change to next track just by hitting up or down with the volume controls. Really kind of nice. Of course, that means it's not being a volume control at the time, so if you do a lot of volume changing, you might not want to enable that. Mine's disabled right now just because, but again, you can't have volume wake and volume music controls operating at the same time if you're listening to music. You can if you're not listening to music, and then they play just fine. Lock screen calendar, this is what I told you about. I don't have a calendar set up on this ROM yet, so it didn't show me any appointments, but you can have it so you just turn your phone on and it shows you your next appointment without having to get into your phone, without unlocking it. It's right there. Really fast, really like it. You know, that'd be super cool for, say, a Windows Phone challenge, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, let's get back here. Time range, this is about the calendar. How many days do you want to look forward? A day, 3 days, however long. Use colors, color-coded events and whatnot. Hide ongoing events, multiple events, blah, blah, blah. Fast torch. I would love to show you this, but it wasn't working right for me. It worked great off camera, and when I tried to do it on camera, it just broke. Essentially, what this is supposed to do is when your screen is off, and I think it's also when it's locked. I think that was my problem. You press and hold the power button, and just press and hold, and the torch, the LED, will turn on, and it will stay on until you let go of the power button, and then it will turn off. Really cool. Now your phone is a functionally useful flashlight. It's not like those apps that you have to turn on your phone, unlock your phone, find the app, hit the button, use the slider, click the thing, okay, great, turn it off. No, you just pull it out of your pocket and press and hold. You've got a flashlight. Let go and the flashlight's off. It's perfect. It's the way it's supposed to be. Why didn't we do this before? I don't know. Probably because it doesn't work right. But I'm sure they're working on that. Horizontal lock screen. Yes, I can have a lock screen in horizontal orientation. It's not going to show you because I have that timeout, but you can actually have lock screen right there, which is nice when you have this set down in an impromptu dock or set down in an actual dock that uses the phone's pogo pins. Really cool. I like it. I like being able to rotate it, and it's fast enough now in Ice Cream Sandwich that I don't mind the extra time that it takes to rotate. Quick pin unlock, show lock screen before unlock. I don't like that one. I think, you know, yeah, you can play around with it. And then you can set up some custom targets to launch apps right there. Lock screen, lots of cool stuff you can do. Power menu, you can add stuff to the power menu like screenshot, power saver, torch, airplane mode, navigation bar, lots of cool stuff. Turn them on and off as you like them. And that's just, you come over here, it lets you set that. Very, very cool, very fast, a really nice way to get lots of stuff right there. In fact, if you hit reboot, it will ask you how you want to reboot. Do you want to reboot the phone? Do you want to reboot into recovery? Really awesome. I like it a lot. Here's the weather part that we were talking about, where you can enable or disable the service. Use a custom location. Just say, you know what, I'm in Syracuse. This is my zip code. Just don't worry about me. I'm always here. Or if that's unchecked, it will use your rough or your coarse network location to find where you are. It'll show the location as well, so you know where you are. And I do that because sometimes getting your network location can be done via your Wi-Fi. And depending on your Wi-Fi, sometimes it thinks that I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona, which, needless to say, is significantly warmer than Syracuse, Utah. If you want to have, so that helps me double check that. I know I'm in Syracuse or Scottsdale or wherever. Again, using your coarse network, not your GPS location. That's why it does that. There's advantages, disadvantages. Metric units, I'm in the US. We don't use metric. So I have that untoggled. You can enable that and it'll show your temperature in Celsius and it'll show your wind speed in kilometers per hour rather than Fahrenheit and miles per hour respectively. Refresh interval, I've got that set to an hour. I figure, you know, this is Utah. The weather changes every hour anyway, so set that to 60 minutes. We're good to go. Nice thing about Utah, if you don't like the weather, wait an hour. Status bar weather style. We can have a weather panel. We can have it above the carrier text. We can have it disabled. I've got a weather panel. I really don't know where that is. Where's the status bar? I don't know. But that's something you can play around with, and of course let us know when you find out in the comments. Power saver. This is kind of cool. I like it and I don't like it at the same time. This lets you control how you can save power based on the condition of your phone. So for example, when the screen is off, what do I want to do with my data? Well, I want to switch to 2G because 2G takes less power than 3G unless you're using it all the time, and then it takes more. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but if I turn off 3G and switch over to 2G, generally speaking, when the screen's off, I don't care. The data is going to come in and it's going to save me some battery life. I can even turn data off entirely or, you know, don't do anything at all. I can set a delay on how long that takes. So I've got it set to a minute here. After 1 minute, then switch over to 2G. Seems to be working great. You can set it anywhere from immediate to 30 minutes, up to you. Sync action. Do you want it to stop syncing? Do you want it to do something else when your screen is off? You can set that here. What do you want to do with Wi-Fi? I'm going to leave it alone. You can turn it off, you know, whatever. You know what? Let's turn it off because we still have 2G. Something to keep in mind is that does mean that if you're listening to Pandora, it's going to switch you over to your data network and start gobbling away at your precious cellular data instead of your hopefully unlimited Wi-Fi data. So I turned that back on. Sync data usage, we can leave that untouched, whatever. Sync mobile data preference, we can prefer 3G, whatever. Lots of stuff that you can set. Set it to how you want, what works best for you. LED options, that's your notification LED. You can change it to how long do you want it to pulse on. I've got it set to 1 second. We can leave it for 5 seconds, anywhere in between. How long do we want it to be off between pulses? I've got it set to 5 seconds, so it'll be on 1 second, off 5 seconds. On 1 second, off 5 seconds. You can customize that however you want. You can even change the color, and there's a huge broad, you can change to any color that you want in here. It's ridiculous. You find what you want, set it, you're good to go. So I've got mine at a nice blue. And then I've got it set to flash that LED while the screen is on. So even when I'm using something, I want to know if I've got an alert. It's just a consistent UI thing. You know, I'm a web developer, so I like consistency in UI. If I've got an alert, yeah, I know I've got, you know, notifications up here, but I also always have that regardless. Just something I do and I like it. If you don't, you can uncheck it. Whew, lots of stuff down. Few things left, and we're going to buzz through these because they're not quite as in-depth as those. Status bar, we've got general stuff. We can auto-hide the toggles. After you toggle something, it'll auto-hide the bar. So again, up here, if you switch something, it'll auto-hide. I don't like that, so I've got it turned off. You can enable the brightness control. I haven't really gotten this to be able to work, I don't think, unless it's that one. But see, that's supposed to let you slide across the status bar, which I thought was up here to control the brightness, and you know, it just doesn't do that. Is that down here? I don't know. I've got it right there anyway. I like it there, so I'm turning that off. If you don't like your USB debugging icon, come on, we're developers. We hook these things up to our phones and we run ADB and whatnot across them all the time. So you might not want to have that debugging icon on all the time. You can turn that off right there. You're still in USB debugging, it just doesn't tell you that. And that might be nice if you're a developer, or if you're using this ROM and don't know what it is because you're not a developer. Go ahead and turn that off. Transparency, this is kind of cool. You can set the transparency of, I believe, this area right here. I have left it at no transparency because it says turning this on might affect performance and battery life, so I don't want to do that. You can also change the notification drawer layout. Just how do you want it to be laid out? Regular, reverse, traditional. I like it the way it is, so there we go. Moving on to the next thing, toggles. We can make these toggles. First of all, we can enable or disable them. Which ones do we want? Which ones don't we want? Lots and lots of stuff in there. I don't know what Swagger is. If you do, let us know in the comments down below. And you do have tether down here, so that's kind of cool. Let's turn that guy on. And then, oh, look at that. There's my Wi-Fi access point. I can turn that on or off. I can change the order that they appear in. Pretty easy there. Can change the toggle style from the icon only to icon and text. I can also change it to be buttons with a little line underneath instead of toggle switches. I like the toggle switches. They take up more space, but you know, it's a better UI in my opinion. And then of course, if you screw something up royally, you can reset that really fast right there with the reset all toggles. Clock, that's pretty much basic. Anything you want to see there? Nope, good. Moving on. Battery. The cool thing I want to show you about this, you can change the battery bar location. You can also change the icon style. I like the circle mod. That tells me up here, here's the circle. It's got the percentage right inside. It's easier to see for me that way to know what the percentage is and go from there. I can also turn on a charging animation, but it warns me that it may result in a poor user experience and I should enable it at my own discretion. I haven't done it because my discretion says I shouldn't, so I'm agreeing with that. You can set colors and the bar thickness and whatnot there as well. Signal, if you want to change your signal over here, your signal meters to show percentages or to show how many decibels instead of how many bars, you can do that. You can use text right there. So I've got 82% on my Wi-Fi, all kinds of cool stuff. Performance, here's where you don't have to have set CPU, which is a separate app for root users. You can set your scaling. I've left this at default, which is 350 at the minimum, 1200 at the maximum, using an interactive governor. I haven't changed anything, so I don't need to set this at boot, but if I wanted to, I could change those and then check that box. It's going to revert those changes the next time I boot up. Voltage control, I can do that too. I'm not going to go into what voltage controls are in this video because it's just an entirely different topic. It has to do with power savings and heat savings and a bunch of other stuff. Look up voltage control AOKP and you can find out. If you want to give us a quick summary, go ahead and do that down in the comments below and just share your knowledge with us as well. You can also come in here and do some memory-based performance optimizations. So free memory, you can say how much is the minimum amount of free memory that it should keep alive. You can set that to pretty much whatever you want in here. As soon as your free memory drops below that threshold, Task Killer will start killing stuff off. And you can set that at boot. Scrolling cache, the more scrolling cache you have, the better scrolling looks, but the more memory it takes, the less you have to run other stuff, and the slower things are. So you can, I've got it just set to default, you can change that around and get, in my experience, just marginal performance increases, but you might have a different experience, so that's how you can do it. This is a kernel tweak in another place where you can set up fast charge. I showed you the other place before. You can turn that off, turn that on. There you go. Color multipliers and gamma tuning, that has to do with the screen and how the colors look. If you want this to be night mode, you can do that and set it to kind of a red. That theoretically will also save a lot of battery life because you're using 1 out of the 3 pixels. Of course, those being RGB. You're only using the red, and the red is the most power efficient of those 3 pixels, so you can save some power there if you like doing that. I only really like that at night when I'm out stargazing or whatnot. Woo! Last one is startup tweaks, and you can set all kinds of stuff. I've got it turned on, it's turned off by default. I've got it set to zip align APKs. So if you've got any apps that are installed that are not aligned, zip aligned, that'll do it on boot. You can enable SD boost, which is essentially caching to the SD card. This phone doesn't have an SD card, so it doesn't do me any good there. I can run fixed permissions. Sometimes when we're doing all this stuff, installing custom ROMs and whatnot, the permissions get screwed up. This will fix it. The fixed permissions process takes a while, so I've got that turned off. It only happens at boot, and not screen on, but actually boot up. If I have a problem, I'll manually run it. I do have it set to clear cache, any cache that was left over. Syscontrol, don't know what that is. If you do, let us know in the comments down below. And enable scheduled tasks. Yes, cron jobs. I haven't got any. I don't know what I'd use as a cron job, but maybe I need to upload something every day at 2 o'clock. I can theoretically do that by enabling cron right there. Okay, so that's the Rom Control panel. The settings, essentially. Everything else is pretty much the same. Let me show you right in here about phone. This is Android 4.04. This is the AOKP Maguru, and it doesn't show you in here, but this is the it is build 31. Actually, it does right down there, build 31. So you know what I'm looking at. One last thing that we have to go through, and we're just going to touch on it because this is really a good topic for another video upcoming in the future, and that's Nova. The launcher that I've been showing you here is Nova Launcher. Take a look at the stuff in here. I can do cool stuff with what are my new apps, what are my downloaded apps. I can come over here. It has widgets that are included in there. I can use a drawer. I can use a picker like the old style, the gingerbread style. Come over here to a menu, manage apps, go into Nova settings directly, so I can go Nova settings there rather than having a shortcut on my home screen. But it functions pretty much like what you'd expect. But there are a whole bunch of other settings. These settings are really fun. You can see this little ribbon over here. That says Prime if you can't read it, and it is essentially what you get if you upgrade to the paid version, which you can do via an in-app purchase through the market, or excuse me, the Play Store. Desktop, how many screens and wallpapers, your grid, the margins. You want a persistent search bar on the top. How many home screens do you want and their location? What kind of scroll effect do you want? Cube, card stack, none. If you want a faster device, choose none. Wallpaper scrolling, you can set it to no scrolling on. Static, meaning only static wallpapers, only images will scroll, whereas live wallpapers won't scroll. Delayed, which may help performance scrolling with live wallpapers. I've never had a problem, but if you want more performance, you can play around with that. Infinite scroll, if you want to just keep scrolling to the right, scrolling to the left. I guess I got those backwards, didn't I? You can keep going and going and going, and it's just a loop. So instead of getting to the edge and then having to scroll back the other way, you can just keep going and it will loop around and around and around. Really kind of cool. I like it. I haven't turned it on for this ROM. If you don't want labels underneath your icons, turn them off right there. Your folder preview, you can set it to a stack, a grid, a fan, however you want that to look. The default is stack. I have left it there. Kind of cool. Set it to whatever you want. Folder preview, we just looked at that. The folder background, do you want that to be a circle, a square, a platform? Ooh, platform sounds cool. Or something custom. You can do that too. Drawer, this is basically your app drawer. Do you want to show widgets in it? Yes or no? You do need root. So yes, you can get this launcher and run it on a phone without root. You just can't get some of the rootish features. This is one of them. Scroll effect, this is the transition when you scroll between it. Do you want card stack, cube, none, whatever? Well, card stack works for me. And if you want to hide apps, you've got apps installed you just don't want to see, you can hide them. Again, that's a paid feature. Dock, that's your dock down here above your navigation bar. Okay, you can have dock pages, so you can have multiples, scroll left and right. How many icons do you want in there? 4, 5, 6, 2, whatever, you can set that in there. How much margin do you want? Do you want a divider between the dock and the rest of the icons on the page? I don't. And then if you do have multiple dock pages, infinite scroll on or off. And if you want a shadow at the top and the bottom of the screen, I'm going to turn that off just because I haven't noticed it. And if I haven't noticed it, I don't think I need it. Hey, gestures. I haven't played with gestures because it's Prime. It's a paid for thing. You can either enter a code or buy it through the Play Store or cancel. Behavior, I'll just show you some stuff in there. Back up all of your settings or restore them. You can do that right there. So really kind of cool. Like I said, this ROM came with version 1.0.1. There was a market update to 1.0.2 that came in automatically for me. I can check for a new update just like that if I want to. It says the current version is the same version that I have, so okay, good deal. I can set my default home. If I don't want Nova Launcher anymore, I can come back in and just choose regular launcher. I'm going to go back to Nova Launcher because that's what I'm showing you. And then, of course, we showed you the backup in there. if you run into bugs, problems, this is how the developer knows. You're just enabling error usage and reporting, or error and usage reporting, so that the developer can make it better for all of us. You can turn that off if you don't want to participate. If you want to reset it, there you go. And then, of course, another plug to upgrade to the paid version of Nova Launcher. Now, I know I went through that really fast just to kind of show you what you could do with Nova Launcher. It is the launcher that comes with AOKP. It is very nice. I like it quite a bit. And as long as, I believe you have to have an Android-based, or excuse me, an ice cream sandwich-based ROM to run Nova Launcher. But it will run on even unrooted phones, just without the ability to run some of the rooted features that you saw in there. Okay, really, really long video. I apologize for that, guys, but there was so much stuff in here to show you. If you can get past the pink unicorn, in fact, let's go ahead and change this to something else. How about, there we go. Much better. Andy riding a unicorn with a rainbow coming out its butt. Yay. I don't know why they picked pink unicorns, but they did. You can turn them off. You can get rid of them. Do what you want. It's an awesome, awesome ROM. It's very stable, except for some of the more advanced weird features that you don't see on normal phones, like the power button to turn on the flashlight and whatnot. Just, you know, have fun with it, and I would highly recommend this if you don't want to have a a cyanogen mod ROM, or if there's not one out there available for you. Again, I apologize for the length. Lots to show you. What was your favorite part? Let us know in the comments. And if you like seeing all this cool stuff you can do, especially a persistent search button right there on your navigation bar, give the video a big thumbs up and ignore the wounds on my fingers from working in the yard. Leave us your comments. Let us know. Head over to Pocketnow.com so you can see all kinds of cool articles and get some links on where you can get this ROM and the Nova Launcher from the Play Store. For Pocketnow, showing off AOKP Custom ROM, I'm Joe Levi.